Okay, what is up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Trades Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the description below. You can find updates there. You can join discussion with other traders. I share ideas there, so do other people. So if you do want to join the community, make sure you do check it out. Link in the description, also at the top of the chat, so you definitely can't miss the link. But guys, welcome back to the stream. Hope everyone is well. What's up, JETV? Good morning. What's up, Ivan? Excuse me. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Brian, good morning. What is up? Hope you're doing good. So, as always, we'll go for USD side of things first. Again, any requests, any charts you want me to take a look at, or any particular time frames as well, let me know and drop it in the chat and I'll take a look. But I'll go for USD side of things first. DXY, USD majors, gold, silver, and some indices as well. I've been keeping an eye on the dollar because I am still somewhat bearish on it, but it's just not in the best place for me to take a trade. I was hoping we could see a bit more retracement on the dollar yesterday and simultaneously with Euro USD as well, but it didn't look like we quite had enough retracement. The main reason why I'm being a bit more hesitant about shorting the dollar, which we've been speaking about for the past couple of days, is this big zone here on the weekly chart. Price did consolidate here for a few weeks before we had this really strong bullish engulfing candle and price had a really strong move to the upside. So overall, we're tapping into a higher time frame area of interest, which potentially could see a reversal, at least just some buying pressure coming back into the market, which potentially could see us have us a bigger push. So certainly as a swing trader, I'm not going to be so invested in holding shorts at these areas because I know we could be seeing some buyers step into the market. Of course, if you're looking for a short-term play, then of course that's nothing really to be worried about too much because you're in and out of the market fairly quickly. But holding a short position in these areas, eventually price might find support and turn against you. So you have to be careful of that. So I've been looking for a bigger retracement for the dollar. I've been speaking about a push back into that candle there. That's where all the momentum came from. And I can be a bit more specific with that and refine it to this area here where price had a brief pause on the 4-hour chart and we of course melted to the downside last week. And things were looking pretty bearish and I was looking for us to come back and retest that zone before looking to sell. We were looking pretty bullish at the time, but just didn't quite see that one last bullish leg I was hoping for before price did sell off, and we had a pretty strong bearish move at the start of today. So as the markets opened up for the new daily candle, we did see some nice momentum there breaking lower. However, again, not really in my area of interest. I didn't really entertain the idea of potentially buying euro or buying pound. I did want to see that bigger pullback into that zone before getting involved. Now that we have seen the move, I would still be a bit skeptical as we were coming back into the same territory which gave us that rejection. I'm still pretty bearish because of momentum. Market's still seeing lower lows and lower highs. As you can see on the weekly chart, daily chart, we're still seeing that bearish structure. So if I am still looking to short the dollar, for myself, I'll probably still be waiting for a push back to that same area before looking to get short. In fact, I like how we've had this move down. If we do push up again, potentially can push up, take out some early sellers who have some stops above the high there, and that will make my area a bit more valuable as well. So I still do like that area. However, if we don't see such a big retracement, price might come back, retest this consolidation, and potentially use that to continue falling. So if you are looking to short the dollar or look for opportunities that favor dollar weakness, I would wait for a bit more upside at least to come back and retest the range here at 103, or if you're looking for a bit more of a swing position, 103.9, 104, that kind of area looks really good still as well. But yeah, momentum's still down. We're still seeing strong bearish moves. No kind of real characteristic of a reversal. Yes, we do have some rejection in these areas, which we have to be a bit cautious of. But in terms of the overall trajectory of the market, in the past few weeks is still very much the downside. So dollar is still bearish, trend is still down, predominantly looking to short the market. We still could go take out these lows if anything as well. But if we are going to find some opportunities, we want to make sure we're taking trades from smart areas and positioning ourselves well in the market. So I would wait either for at least a push back into that range or back into 104. Both of those areas look pretty good, and depending how much of a pullback we see will depend which level price gets to. But yeah, I'm still pretty bearish, and yeah, just waiting for a slightly bigger pullback first. I'll go through Euro USD next. So again, pretty much the inverse of what we just spoke about there with the dollar, which is you can see Euro USD up on the day, looking very, very strong. I was talking about some long opportunities yesterday for Euro USD at this area here. Lovely range, strong push to the upside. Again, same situation as the dollar. So go to the weekly chart. What can we see if we look to the left? Again, a similar range, which gave us a very strong move to the downside. Price tapped into that last week, big wick rejection as we pulled back just before the weekly candle close. So again, bit of a red flag there. We are still bullish, but momentum is fading at the highs. So taking that into consideration, don't want to be so aggressive with the buys. So I was waiting for us to come a little bit deeper as well. Looks like we found support just above us, and we had a bit of a move to the upside. Again, if Euro USD is still going to push higher, you would at least want to see a pullback back into this kind of area where price consolidated and had another big strong move to the upside this morning. So if I go to the hourly chart, something like this would be a nice trade opportunity, perhaps even on the smaller time frames. Again, I would still like to see the bigger move into this area. So pretty much same as the DXY analysis. But again, as we look for buys, we want to be a little bit more cautious as we do come back into this area, because this is still where the range is, and this is still where we had the rejection last week. Potentially, we could see another wick this week as well. The weekly candle this week is looking fairly bullish, but maybe by the end of the week, that's pulling back as well, leaving another wick. So being careful that could be the scenario that does unfold. But the market's still bullish, so I think buys is still the best bet. It's just you want to be waiting for price to come back into bullish territory first before looking to long either this area here, which could be more of an intraday opportunity, or if you're still looking for a bigger swing, then 1.085 looks really good down there. Pound USD, this one had a bit of a bounce from 1.28. Again, I'm not so enthusiastic about the buys anymore for Pound USD. We had that humongous move to the upside and the follow through back down again. Not really something I'm looking at to continue, especially with such a strong rejection there on the daily and the weekly chart as well. So price has tested 1.28. It's been a nice bounce so far. We are now heading back into consolidation. So this is back into an area which we potentially could find resistance and sell off from as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I am looking to see if Pound USD can get back there for some selling opportunities. And if things look good, I'll take the trade and probably target back at 1.27, sorry, not 1.28. I thought that was 1.28. Target back at 1.27. So Pound USD for me, I am not so confident anymore that price is going to continue higher, especially after that move on Thursday. Really strong move to the upside. It was as if price was going to continue back to 1.3 at that point, 1.34 at that point, but price didn't. We came back down very aggressively, and of course that left behind a big wick on the weekly chart. So as a result, I'm not as confident that price is going to break through the zone and continue higher after we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of price just obeying that resistance pretty much. And especially with the last week's candle, that big kind of breakout, price failed and we pulled back there. So a push back into resistance into that range looks likely, but whether we continue, I think that's a different question, and I'll probably say it looks unlikely. So as we come back into this area, there could be some really nice shorts to look at for pound, back into 1.27 and maybe beyond. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at for Pound USD. In terms of dollar CAD, I'm keeping an eye on this one. There hasn't been a solid entry candle on the 4-hour chart for me. I did say yesterday if we can get a double top, I'll be looking for some more entries, and I am looking for some more entries, but we haven't really seen much momentum here. And a good signal for a trade. I think it probably would be better to enter this one on the lower time frames just to maximize that risk reward opportunity. We did push into this area middle of the night, actually around 1 a.m. There was a decent rejection there, which I think closed at 2 a.m. on that hourly chart. So that would have been a nice entry, but again, trading dollar CAD during the Asian session is probably not the best time to trade it, but hey, in this case, we did see a nice move to the downside in that case. But from a 4-hour perspective, not enough for me to get into a trade. And if you keep kind of slowly bleeding to the downside, I'll probably just leave dollar CAD alone. But the key thing to take away from dollar CAD is that this zone is holding pretty well as resistance. As long as that holds, I'm expecting price to make a move back into support at 1.40500. So dollar CAD still pretty bearish. Resistance is still holding. I'm still pretty bearish in USD as well, so that kind of adds confidence to the position. Market's still pretty consistent with these lower highs, and it looks like we're starting to form another one. So I do think dollar CAD can end up back at the lows there, but again, in terms of an entry, unless you enter during the Asian session over there or you're already in the position, you kind of need price to push back into resistance again before taking a trade. But so far, resistance is holding pretty well, so that does give me a pretty bearish bias for dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, again, still looking for a bit of a pullback for this one. We've still had a few attempts to try and push lower, but so far support is holding. Doesn't look like price is pushing too far away. We had the drop from last week. This is where we gapped into. Bit of a wick to the downside, price creating support. We pushed up once, came back down, respected it, pushed up twice, came back down, respected it again. Yesterday, or was that this morning? That was this morning, actually. Well, the candle that opened up from 10 o'clock, which closed at 2 a.m. this morning. Price respected support again. So it looks like we are starting to run out of steam a little bit. I am expecting Aussie dollar to push to the upside. Again, there's not a lot of support or big levels to work with Aussie dollar at these prices. Looking to the left, COVID lows, we have to go a little bit lower than that. I suppose there's some small areas down the left, but again, nothing too significant to work with. So with Aussie dollar, as we can see, we're creating support. That could be a nice place to put a stop loss underneath and potentially capitalize on a counter trend play. Now, this trade will be a bit more of an aggressive play because, again, the market is still pretty bearish. We're still seeing a lot of momentum, but I do think it's definitely due a pullback. Whether it's going to happen now or maybe 50 pips lower, difficult to say. But it does look like support is starting to hold. And I do think we can see a push to the upside. If we look to the left, every time price does create a new low, we do tend to correct ourselves pretty quickly afterwards. So create a low there, broke through the low, big push to the upside, create a new low, big push to the upside, created a new low again. I do think we'll probably see price recover that and see a big push to the upside as well. Which is why if you're looking to sell Aussie dollar, I would be patient and wait for price to approach this kind of area first before looking to sell. This is now in bullish territory, or at least not in sellers anymore. I'd wait for a much bigger pullback before looking to try and take any shorts. But at the moment, support looks like it's holding pretty well. I do think we can see some upside. In terms of NZD/USD, I don't think this one, has this one seen new lows? Okay, yeah, it just about did. So again, with NZD/USD as well, we can see the wick low here, trading at support there. You can see what happened last time we were there. Price spiked through, nice recovery, another spike through. I do think probably we'll see a recovery in that as well. Again, more of an aggressive trade. You're trying to fade the momentum from last week, which might seem a little bit scary, but this is kind of the areas where you expect sellers to be taking profit. If people were in some sell positions early in the week, earlier last week, where would they probably have their targets? Probably at the lows here, or at least if not at the lows there, probably some initial targets at least. So you probably will get that natural profit taking from sellers, and of course that should give us a bit of relief in price. And of course this is a pretty strong level of support anyway. If we scale to the higher time frames, look to the left, we are trading at some big areas. As you can see there, massive support there, big move to the upside, and of course support there too as well, big move to the upside. So we are trading in a really big area, so naturally profit taking probably will be going happening at the moment, and that should give us a natural bounce to the market. And again, I think this is a decent area, decent place for a stop loss as well. I think USD's got some weakness left in it too, so that should help NZD push up. But I think the main focus here with NZD USD and the Aussie dollar is NZD and Aussie, the currencies themselves, because they've been so bearish, and it hasn't really mattered what USD's been doing, because USD's been overall bearish too, but they've still been falling. So it just goes to show how bearish Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar have been. So yeah, if they can finally gain some strength, I do think they can fly. In terms of gold, we have just about tapped into a very interesting area. Nice consolidation here. Price spent a few days there before breaking to the upside with a lot of momentum. We just about came and tested, not yesterday, the day before. And looks like we're seeing a bit of a bullish reaction. Kind of like a nice double bottom there. Not quite of the area, but looks like we came back into the low price respect early in the morning. Very strong close there. And again, another strong close there to the upside. So it looks like gold is reacting from this area, and perhaps we could potentially see a bullish gold right now. Again, looking at the higher time frames, weekly chart, everything is still pretty bullish here for gold. We've had a bit of a spike to the downside for this week. Potentially that's price now getting ready to rally. I think if we can get a strong close in the daily chart, that kind of sets the tone there. So I would say if you're looking to trade gold, I'd probably scale to the lower time frames, look for a bit of a correction. Perhaps a retest of the high like so. That could provide some nice opportunities for a long. You've got one low there, second low there, and that will be your third high low, looking for the continuation. Looks like we're coming back into some bearish territory at the moment, but yeah, some pullbacks. I do fancy some buys. I'm not too sure if you'll be looking to try and hold it all the way back to the all-time high, especially if you're looking at intraday position, but I do think there's room to the upside for us to maneuver into. In terms of silver, this one also looking semi-bullish, at least bullish on the day. Again, it looks like support on the left is holding. Again, I'm still not too sure about silver, about my longer term play. I know longer term, I'm still expecting silver to gain strength over time. But the way prices moved, it does look very kind of awkward, very kind of corrective move to the upside. And a very strong move come crashing back down. Not exactly your typical bullish trend or your bullish pattern there. So that's why I'm being a bit more cautious. I wouldn't say the market is necessarily bearish. We haven't really taken out any major lows. Sure, we did take out some lows here on the daily chart, which of course broke structure along the way to the upside. But as soon as we come back into a big level, price actually respects it. So there's nothing really bearish to me about silver right now. Of course, apart from the momentum there, but there's nothing that tells me that longer term I'm expecting silver to collapse right now. So that's why I'm still kind of semi-bullish, holding that bias, but I don't have a clear setup to trade it, which is why I'm just kind of on the fence right now. As we do push to the upside, we're coming back into resistance here, which is where sellers will be sitting, and that is definitely not a place which I want to be looking to jump into any longs. If anything, there might be some nice shorts here for silver. Push into that area if we're nice and corrective. It might be a sell to take from 31 or 32 really. So yeah, silver, I'm still favoring price to get back to highs eventually, but I just need development for a good buy opportunity to form. At the moment, I'm still seeing good sell opportunities as we push higher. And that's kind of where I'm at with the USD side of things. Interesting. I think pound USD looks the best to me, so that's kind of where I'm going to be focusing my efforts on. And yeah, I'll keep an eye on silver as well, but there is no setup for at least a swing buy anyway. Dark Sean, what's up? 16k and below for NAS today. I haven't actually looked at the indices. I'll go take a look at them now. Ivan, what's up? Pound Aussie potential double top in the 4 hour. Would you say the chances of a C price dropped to 2.103? Okay, I'll take a look at that as well. No problem. Tashi, good morning. Hope you're doing good. Hassim, Aussie dollar. Yep, we'll take a look. Okay, so let me take a look at NAS. Then I'll go over to pound Aussie. So NAS 100. Okay, bit bearish yesterday. Yesterday I was talking about some sells for NAS because price was still fairly corrective. So we're talking about potentially a top forming. I didn't really say where though because I didn't really have a solid area. I think, yeah, yesterday I was mentioning this area here, didn't quite get there. But yeah, looking pretty bearish, strong move come back down. I think the key thing with NAS is that yes, the market did see a bit of a bullish day on Monday, but overall momentum is still very much with the bears here. This bullish candle has done no kind of damage in terms of telling us, okay, price is about to reverse. Overall momentum is still clearly with the sellers here. There is a big level on the left here, so it is at an interesting area, which if we do see some more rejection, maybe another strong bullish daily candle close, or maybe a big wick through the zone and a big rejection, maybe that could be a sign that maybe price is starting to form a bit of a bottom, potentially. So we have to keep that in mind. But in terms of intraday momentum, things are still looking pretty bearish to me. In terms of shorts, I mean, I would probably like to see price push closer to this kind of area. We had a nice range, price kind of faked it to the upside and came crashing down, similar to what Pound USD is doing at the moment. That would be a nice place for a short, in my opinion. But yeah, there's no aggressive momentum that tells me a reversal is likely. So I would still be expecting price to push back into the lows. Again, it will still come into a big level, so we may push back into lows, respect it, and come back up again, potentially. We have to wait for more information for me to analyze that and say what potentially could happen next. But at the moment, I do feel oil prices are still likely. So Darkshon 16K, which is by 16K over here. Possibly could see that happen. I'm not sure about that in one day. I mean, what am I talking about? We've seen some crazy moves in one day recently. So yeah, one day is actually not too crazy anymore, is it? But yeah, I think 16K is doable. At least support there, 16,300, I would say. Whether we get specifically to 16K, I'm not too sure about that, but I do think we'll probably see a bearish move. There is another level on the daily, which or weekly chart, I should say, which I'm looking at as well, which is the retest of this high, which is more or less around 16K or just below. So if this high doesn't hold, I'm kind of looking at this area here, because that had a nice range and a nice rip to the upside as well. And we didn't really come back for a retest there too. So around 15,800, I think, is a decent area to look at as well for potentially support to start forming. So yeah, I think there are still levels price can go in here. We are still testing a big level here, so let's not forget that. But there is no strong indication of a reversal yet. So yeah, looking for another high to form. A push to 17,600 would be nice. And possibly another lower high for a push back down. So yeah, pretty bearish on the NAS. If we go take a look at Pound Aussie, so Ivan, you're asking about potential double top here. And a push back to 2.103. Let me mark that in the chart. 2.103. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Okay, 2.103. So basically back into support there. Potentially, yeah. I like how price is respecting the high there so far. Seeing a lot of wicks on the daily time frame, so obviously price is definitely struggling at the highs here. We've seen 1, 2, 3 slightly there, and of course today, another wick to the upside. So clearly resistance is holding. Of course, today's candle's still live, so that can change, but we're doing a good job at respecting the highs. And then yeah, in terms of a target, I would say back to support is the most realistic one, because of course, price is doing a good job at respecting resistance, but that might not be the case in a couple of days' time. The trend is still very much up. Momentum is still very much with the buyers. We could still very much climb higher. So I think it's smart not looking for crazy sell-off and calling that potentially a top for the trend, because it could be a top, but the odds are definitely against you, especially when you are going counter trend, especially when you are going counter trend against a trend like this. It's best to be a bit more cautious. Take your profit a bit earlier. Targets like this are far more realistic than looking for a reversal, and you can always hold positions. If things are going your way really well, price is tanking for whatever reason, you can hold onto positions a little bit longer, trail stops, however you want to manage it. But you want to be a bit more cautious, and I think a target down there, 2.105, looks pretty good, to be honest. And of course, price could potentially find support there and go back against you. So watch out for that, or even maybe look for some buys. But yeah, so far, really decent rejection there. Strong close on the 4-hour chart. Looks like Aussie's gaining a little bit of strength at the moment. Take a look at the hourly chart. Yeah, nice momentum there with that close at 9 a.m. or 9 a.m. So yeah, things look good. Yeah, I would suggest push to 2.105. Looks pretty good there. Market's still bullish, but it does look like highs are forming and you're struggling to break resistance. And I think in general, price does need a bit of a retracement as well. We've been ripping to the upsides very aggressively, so we are definitely due a pullback. Okay, so I have a quick look at Aussie dollar. Then I'll go through some of the yen pairs. I did jump into a euro yen position. I was talking a lot about that yesterday, and Swiss yen as well, but Swiss yen was just, Swiss was way too bullish. I didn't really set up at all. It's still an interesting area, which if it does turn around, I will be interested to short, but because I am in euro yen now, I don't see a point for me to get into Swiss yen, because they both probably do the same thing. I might as well just stick out euro yen for now. But I'll go through some of the yen pairs. They are still very interesting to me. Let me go through Aussie dollar quickly. What's up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. No problem, Ivan. Happy to help. So Aussie dollar, as I mentioned, I think this is a nice place for a buy. It's definitely a bit more aggressive trade. You know, prices crack through support on the left, but you can see how we're moving. Every time we do crack support, price does tend to revert back to the upside. And we've been bearish since October pretty much. So the market has been falling for quite a while, still pretty stretched. Yes, the bigger move may still be to the downside, but we might still witness something like this before us continuing, and that could be worthwhile trading. If you're looking to short the market, then I would wait for at least for a push back into that area, 0.625, or even at least just a push back into support there, which will be turn resistance. So I would wait for price to come back into that sort of territory before looking to short the market again. For me, the market's a little bit stretched. We've taken out major support. I don't really want to be shorting the market at this price right now. As I said, on the 4-hour time frame, it looks like support is holding. If that can hold or continue to hold more or less, then that could be a really nice place for price to potentially turn around from and see that retracement. So buys look good here for now, 0.595. And if you're looking to sell, I'll at least wait for price to get to 0.62. And then we can start talking about some shorts again. So it depends on what your bias is. If you're a bear or a bull. If you're a bull, then we're at some nice areas for a long. If you're a bear, I would wait for us to push a lot higher. Of course, it depends what time you're looking at, time frame you're looking at, because even perhaps getting to here would actually still be a nice short-term position. But if you're looking for a swing trade, you definitely want price to push a lot further to the upside. So I'll be careful of that. I am still pretty bearish on USD, but I think a big focus is just what Aussie dollar is going to do next, because USD has been falling. If we go take a look at all, the DXY, DXY, there we go. This one's been falling as well. So we've been falling for the past, since Jan. And if you look at Aussie dollar, what's this one been doing? That's going to be falling as well since October. So they're both in the same trajectory, which is funny because they're supposed to be inversely correlated. USD strong, Aussie's weak, vice versa. But in this kind of format, they've been arguably positively correlated. So it's a time when they're a bit out of sync, and Aussie weakness has just been so weak that whatever dollar's been doing, it hasn't really mattered. So yeah, I think Aussie's going to start to gain some strength soon. Same for NCD. No currency is weak forever. They'll eventually gain some strength. So I do think a pullback is likely. But yeah, the overall trend is still very much down. So as we approach these type of areas, I think some sells look really good. This week's price action is going to break my spirit. Amir, what's wrong, my man? What's wrong? again, if you're still very much a beginner in trading and you're still, finding your feet in the markets, of course, there's going to be numerous hard times and numerous setbacks and upsets. You're going to expect that. The key thing is, if you're trading a live account, either don't trade in a live account just yet, because as a beginner, there's a very high chance you do lose that account. Might as well just not trade live for now anyway. Or if you are trading a live account, just trade very, very minimal risks. The smallest risk you can take, because your goal right now is not necessarily to make money. It's to find your consistency. And then you can always up your risk the more confident you get or the more experience you get. So, don't be too disheartened about price action and about things not going your way, because it will continue to happen. Even once you're an experienced trader, there'll be times where things are just not going your way. So just the key thing is just learning. So journal, screenshots, do that as much as possible. It would definitely help accelerate your journey. But we've all been there. Keep the head up. Better times will come. It's just about consistency. Anyway, so I did jump into a Euro-yen position. No problem, Hassim. Happy to help. So I did jump into a Euro-yen position yesterday on the 8-hour time frame. Nice bearish engulfing there for me. Stops above the high, and I'm looking to target the wick down there. I'm expecting that wick to go, but more or less I'm still pretty much aiming for support. So I'll probably start to look to partial out as price gets there. I do think we are likely to take out that wick low. I've been saying that for a while, so hopefully now we can actually see that move. But again, the analysis behind this is that we've seen two clear highs form, one over there, second over there. I'm looking for a third. We're getting a lot of rejection at this 163, 162 area. Price has tried on numerous occasions to try and break to the upside, but we kept failing. If I scale to the weekly chart, you can see price is just firing wick after wick after wick to the upside. So this is clearly a sign that the market is struggling to break through this area. And if the market is struggling to break through an area, then what's going to happen? Well, most likely price is going to move in the opposite direction, which in this case would be to the downside. Hence why I'm looking to sell the market. So as long as we can hold this 162 area, we can continue to put wicks to the upside and not see a strong close. That helps my bias, and I'm expecting us to return back to support, which is down here, and eventually take out that wick low. Again, as I've been saying, this looks like a big head and shoulder pattern. You got your left, you got your head, you got your right shoulder, and there's your neckline. And what do we expect eventually to happen? The neckline to break and a push to the downside. So there's a lot of downside opportunity here for Euro Yen. We've seen Pound Yen make a good move, CAD Yen, New Zealand, Aussie Yen. Every yen par apart from Swiss and Euro have made some decent moves. Again, this is the weekly chart for Pound Yen. That one's bleeding as well. So I'm expecting Euro Yen to eventually catch up to what Pound Yen is doing. The only reason why Euro hasn't done that is because Euro has been pretty strong. If we look at the chart between Euro and Pound, we can see that Euro Pound's absolutely flying to the upside. So of course, Euro has been quite strong, but I do expect Euro Pound to eventually hit a bit of a top and see some downside. So Euro will lose some strength, maybe Pound will gain some strength. And that's when Euro Yen will do its catching up and hopefully start to bleed to the downside as well. So I see opportunity here for Euro Yen for a push back into support. So far, we've done a pretty good job at respecting that resistance there as well. So I've hopped into a trade on the 8-hour chart, nice bearish engulfing candle. I'm looking for us to roll over and continue. Stops above the high there. So yeah, we'll see how that position goes. I was debating Swiss yen as well, but like I said, that just didn't give me an entry signal. Swiss was pretty strong yesterday. What's up, CS Integrated? Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, I was debating Swiss yen. Didn't really set up well for me. I'll go take a look at that now. So yeah, Swiss yen, as you can see, this is the 8-hour chart. I was looking at the 4-hour as well. So I was looking for a short, but I wanted the price to close below this area because we just broke resistance. I didn't want it to be acting as support, which of course could send price higher. I'm looking to short it, so I want price to be closing back below that. Didn't see that happen. This happened just before I hopped on the stream yesterday. Price pushed down, wick through, and pulled back, so that was a no-go for me. And then as the day progressed, we just kind of went sideways. Price was respecting support. To be fair, it's still respecting resistance there. But we're just very, very flat right now, lacking momentum. So there's no opportunity there for me. I'm still looking at a high forming for Swiss yen. The way I see it, price is now coming back into the trend line. So we're back in an area where I do think a high could form. And you can see that for the past 3 weeks, we've left a bit of a wick to the upside. The market's quite struggled with bullish momentum. Big wick there, another big wick there. Not so big there as well. We did leave a pretty big wick to the downside, I suppose, because we did take up the low here. We kind of used that to kind of start that bullish move. But now I'm looking to see if this bullish momentum for the current week is going to fail. And that could start potentially a nice sell for me for a push back into support, which would be all the way down here. So I'm pretty bearish on Swiss yen. We're coming into a high where I do think, coming to an area where I do think a high can form and price can turn around. Now it's just about finding a good entry signal. At the moment, the market's kind of correctively pushing to the upside. So as long as that stays true, I'm not trying to get involved. If I can see price eventually, give us a strong close, that will be beautiful. That will be the entry signal for the trade. Stops above the high. Maybe hopefully price will be breaking out the channel as well. And that will be my trade back into support. And then hopefully I can leave positions to run as well, because I do expect us to go a lot further. But the idea is to try and catch that next high. One over there, second, third. Let's see if we can catch that fourth somewhere and catch the sell. But I say all of this, but I'm not actually looking to take any trades now for Swiss yen, because I'm in euro now. So I mean, that would be the idea for the trade, but I'm just going to sit on euro. It's pretty much the same trade. I think CHF is going to be stronger than euro anyway. I've had a look at euro Swiss. It looks like euro Swiss has still got room to the downside. So I think euro yen, just based on strength of the currency, will be a better position to take. But it's another yen pair. I'm expecting yen to gain strength and Swiss to push down. So that's still my expectation there with Swiss yen. But yeah, I was looking at a lot at both of them yesterday because they're both in some nice areas. Both of them could potentially give us a position, but euro gave me the entry. Sharif, why didn't you get in a lot earlier on euro? I'm not in euro pound. I'm not trading euro pound. I wasn't looking to trade it. I guess that's probably why I didn't get in a lot earlier, because I'm not trading it. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for Swiss yen. I've looked at the yen basket as well, and that looks like there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of momentum for the yen at the moment. Pretty strong close yesterday. I like the close because we broke above resistance here. Because the past 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, we were respecting the high. So Monday we pushed into resistance, big wick to the upside. And then Tuesday, another big wick to the upside as well. So it was a little bit, wait, that's not Tuesday, sorry. That's Monday, that's Tuesday. So that was Friday and that was Monday. So Friday, big wick to the upside, pullback. Monday, big wick to the upside, pullback. Then Tuesday gave us a strong close. So I wonder, is that the catalyst now to potentially start us breaking to the upside? This is still very much my target for the yen basket, so I'm hoping we could probably see that move now, which could of course help out my position. But yeah, very, very bullish on the yen basket. It looks like this low for the yen is kind of put in right now. I think it's I don't see price doing something like that. If we are going to do something like that, we probably will take out the wick first before we do something like that as well. So expecting us to push back into that high and complete that kind of cycle there. So yeah, really bullish on the yen. Still a little bit corrective, so maybe we push back down before going back up, but I still think the bigger move is likely to the upside, and we are likely to continue. What's up, Sultan? Good morning. Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Hope you're well. But yeah, the yen basket is looking pretty strong. So in my book, I do think more yen strength is coming into the market. If we have a look at pound yen, so this one again, very, very bearish, and yeah. Okay, yeah, very, very bearish, strong close, and price is actually taking the lows there as well. So I do think for pound yen, our targets is still the wick low here at 180. I'm looking at this on the monthly chart, and to me, it looks like just resistance generally in this area is held. Price had a strong move to the downside, left behind a big wick. Momentum tried to redeem itself and tried to go bullish again, but we just kept failing at the highs, failing at the highs, failing at the highs. And again, another push to the upside failed, and looks like the month of April, is seeing a lot of momentum. Of course, we still got 21 days left before the candle does close, but momentum has really picked up. And we're seeing strong closes on the weekly chart, which do indicate momentum is now with the bears. So I do think we're just going to continue back to that wick low. Of course, there'll be pullbacks and upside. I'm not expecting price just to fall flat on its face and continue falling. But I do think that is where price is headed towards. So if that's the case, then I'm only really going to be focused on selling opportunities. There will be buying opportunities, of course, don't get me wrong. Especially if you're on the lower time frames, you'll find numerous opportunities. But as a swing trader and with such a bearish bias, I don't really see a need for me to be looking to buy the market. I'll just rather wait for the sell. So again, as price is breaking the low now's not the time to be looking to sell pound yen. You can see what happened last time we broke the low. Really sharp recovery, big push to the upside. Not saying that's going to happen now, but it could happen, and overall it's just not a great place to be shorting pound yen if you're looking to swing a trade. I want price to either push a lot further than pull back, or just pull back straight away, and that will provide me an opportunity to get in for a trade there. So that's what I'm looking at for pound yen. Very bearish bias. I'm still keeping an eye on this one because at least from current price, there's still another 600 pips to go to my target. So the trade is definitely not over. The idea is not over. We've still got a long way to go. And if price can pull back, give me an opportunity. Hopefully euro yen will be at break even at that point. I'll look to see if I can jump into pound yen as well and take some shorts. But I tell you what, yen pairs I'm not looking at anymore. I'm not so interested in Aussie yen anymore because this one's really had such a big move to the downside. It's quite overstretched right now. We're hitting some big levels on the weekly chart as well. So I'm no longer interested in shorting Aussie yen. Maybe this one still wants to drop. It looks like yen's still got room to the upside, so I kind of think it will. But do I want to be shorting this anymore? No. After such a big move, taking out some big lows, coming into support, a bit stretched as well. Yeah, it's definitely the train is definitely left the station with this one. If anything, there might be some nice buys coming into play. New Zealand yen, same situation as well. Really big move to the downside the past week. Again, if you look to the left, where we're coming into really big support. So again, not the place I want to be looking to jump into any sells, and especially with all that momentum as well. So we're back in bullish territory. If anything, like I said, there might be some decent buys coming into play. So I'm not really so keen in shorting those two. Same thing with CAD yen a little bit as well. Although CAD yen, I still do have targets for this one to go lower, which is back into this area here. So I do think price has got a long way to go still. But at the same time, it's difficult to short it, especially if I look to the left where we're trading back into this area here. Not the best place to be looking for a swing short. Again, intraday plays make a lot of sense. We were talking about some shorts around this area here, which held pretty well. Nice push up, recovery, and the lower high formed. So that was a nice short there yesterday. And then price continued to the downside pretty well, but we're back in support now. So it's a bit awkward now. I wouldn't be looking to try and short the market at all anymore. Back at support. And again, I still expect price to break through, but it's just not a good trade to take. So I'll leave that alone for now. Potentially there could be some more ideas later on. Maybe we break through and then look for some pullbacks afterwards. In terms of dollar yen, this one was actually pretty bearish too yesterday. I wasn't expecting that. Again, I was still kind of favoring a bit more dollar strength for the market because I was still expecting the DXY to pull back to kind of 104. And I was still expecting euro to pull back as well, so I expect dollar yen to kind of follow that trend a little bit. I was also looking at dollar yen coming back into this range. We did spend a few candles there on the 4-hour chart before dropping pretty hard. So I did say if we do get a pullback into that zone, that would be a nice place to short, especially after the market's taken out some lows here as well. And you can see typically the market is still quite corrective. It's not very clean or pure trend like we're seeing heavy momentum. The market overall is pretty corrective. So I want to be, try and take shorts from as high as possible so I don't get caught into a trade too early. So I was suggesting a push back to 149 for a short, but of course in hindsight we can see that didn't happen. And the market is just far too bearish. Momentum looks like it's picking up the pace. At the moment testing some supports, but yeah, not really too interested about that. The thing with dollar yen is I still do expect a lot more downside. I'm still looking for a push into 140, which is all the way down here. And yeah, kind of looking for opportunities for that. Not really seeing much. It would be nice if we pushed into that area. I'm going to have to wait for the next kind of push and pull back here for dollar yen. Maybe something like this could set up, or even a retest of the prior low over there. That could be a nice trade to look at as well. But yeah, dollar yen very bearish. Still expecting more downside. 140 looks likely. I think yen's still going to be strong, and we're likely going to go and push back into support. So the way I see it, I only expect more downside for dollar yen. But yeah, since I'm in euro yen, I'm not so concerned about jumping to any other yen pairs until I can get that to break even. Like I said, in terms of USD, pound USD looks the best to me, so that's kind of where my focus will be. In terms of my watch list, actually, I don't have too many on at the moment, to be honest, but pound USD is definitely part of the watch list. I'm looking at generally this zone, not necessarily specifically the low, but just that zone here from 1.29 to 1.3. If we could see price potentially put a lower high in that area, I'll be happy to try and find some shorts. And I'll be targeting the prior low, keeping it pretty simple. I don't really have a swing bias for pound USD, especially after rejection last week. And overall, pound USD is a pretty flat market as well. So I wanted to see momentum continue. I was looking for a push back to the high. But now that we've seen a big wick rejection, that's definitely a big red flag. We may still continue to the upside, but with a wick that big, I would be a bit more cautious now. So yeah, playing pound USD for the short term because the long-term bias isn't necessarily very clear. But yeah, 1.29, 1.295. Happy to find some shorts there to take pound USD to the downside. Euro, keep an eye on, but Euro is pretty far away from a long for me. I'm more focused on this area, 1.085. This area I think is a nice area to look at, but it's a bit more lower time frame. So what we call that 1.098. I think that's a nice place for a buy in the lower time frames. Euro USD held support here very well. Few attempts, 1, 2, then 3. Nice break to the upside for a lot of momentum, breaking through structure over there and over there. Not quite there, but coming back into that area. Again, especially with that momentum as well, I would expect to see some type of correction and then a continuation. And of course, you've got the high there to aim for if you're looking to try and take it back into the swing high, which I would suggest makes a lot of sense. But I'm just being a bit more skeptical about Euro USD buys just because of where we've come into on the weekly chart. We've got a massive range here on the left, which did start this big bearish move. So as we do approach that level, being cautious, that is bearish territory, and it could invite more sellers back into the market. So because of that, any buys that I would take for Euro, I'm going to be a bit more cautious with my take profit and management, especially in those areas. If I start to see some rejection I don't like, big wicks, momentum shifting, I think either look to close some positions or just close the whole trade completely. But yeah, from a low time frame, this zone here looks good. Nice consolidation, sharp break to the upside. A retest that would be good. But if you're looking for a bigger swing, then of course you want to see a bigger pullback, and that zone there, 1.08, looks really nice as well. So That's what I'm looking at for euro and pound. And dollar CAD, I'll keep an eye on this one, but I've got a feeling I probably won't get a setup that fits my risk to reward profile, especially if my first target is back at the low here. Like I said yesterday, candle was a little bit too big for my liking. The rejection was nice, but I'll be looking at a 1 to 0.7, which isn't really worthwhile for me. I want at least a 1 to 2. Again, that's not a hard written rule. Sometimes it might be a 1 to 1.79, but more or less around the 1 to 2 is kind of what I'm aiming for at least. 1 to 0.7 is just a no-no. It's not even a 1 to 1. So, yeah, being a bit careful there with dollar CAD. Oh yeah, EJ, yeah. So Euro Yen, yeah, Euro Yen was difficult to get into a little bit earlier because of the news we had last week. There was a lot of wicks, price was wicking around. So it was a bit difficult to find a clean entry. Waiting for this week's price actions made things a little bit more tidy, even though it is still pretty messy there. But you can see all the wicks very, very aggressive and the momentum as well. And after we've got this pullback, I found an entry there and a stop loss above the high as well. I could have got a slightly better entry on the 4-hour chart, but I was waiting for a bigger rejection. I wasn't too happy with the way it closed. And then with the 8-hour chart, it gave me a much stronger rejection with that bearish engulfing candle. And the higher the time frame, the more confident the price action is anyway. So I was happy with that entry, and it's still a 1 to 3, which is more or less what I want to be aiming for in terms of a risk reward play. And I can be a bit more trustworthy with the candlestick entry because it's on an 8-hour chart. Not to say that lower time frames you can't be trustworthy with. It's just the higher the time frame, the more trustworthy, because it's more closer to the overview of the market. But yeah, again, typically most of my entries are on the 4-hour chart anyway. So if I did enter the 4-hour, my entry would just be there. So about like a 20 pip difference maybe, which could add up a little bit in the long run, but not big enough for me to start to worry about anything. James, what is up? Hope you're well. Bought pounds yesterday night. Okay, nice. I'm just cautious with any dollar strength. What's up, Tony Gold? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. No problem, Sharif. Happy to help. Yeah, so with pound USD, you said you bought it yesterday. So I'd imagine your entry is more or less in this area, 1.275 area. So you're a bit cautious about USD strength coming into the market. I mean, yeah, if USD strength does come in, it won't be good for your position. So rightly so. But what's your target for the trade, James? How far are you looking to hold this? Because that's a big question. Because if your target's all the way up there, then of course I would be very worried about strength coming in, because there's a lot of distance between you and that target, and a lot of chance for dollar strength to come into the market. If your target is, let's say, here, then prices more or less hit that level. It's probably just missed it by a pip, so I probably would think about exiting some positions and trading a stop to break even, to be honest. So worst case scenario, I'm still going to walk away for a little bit of profit because of the partials and stop loss to break even. Best case scenario, maybe price has another push to the upside where I can take the remainder of my positions off and really maximize that profit there. But it really depends where your target is. 1.29, okay, so more or less into this area. So, okay, so you're not looking for anything crazy. I think that's a nice target, pretty realistic there. I think in terms of momentum, you're definitely going against it because, of course, this massive move here and you're kind of fading that move a little bit, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But it does mean that potentially that bearish momentum could kick back in at some point. So being cautious of that makes sense. We are a little bit corrective on the way up. It's not like we blitzed it to the upside, so I would be a little bit cautious. I think based on how it's moving, maybe closing a small position could be a good move, to be honest, because we still got a lot of momentum here on the left, and this to me is just a very corrective move, so it does look like a pullback. And if this is a pullback, then eventually I expect price to push back into the low at some point. Now, we could still see a push back to 1.29 before that happens. Again, it's always difficult to predict the exact movements of the market. All we can do is make rough estimations. And my rough estimation would be is that momentum is still with the bears. This looks pretty corrective. So at some point, I do expect us to roll over. So yeah, if you're in a buy, maybe secure some positions just to mitigate against price potentially turning around. But I would still hold the position. It looks like structure is still being respected as well. So I would still hold the position. Momentum is still in your favor. And the 1.29 isn't too far away. You're not shooting for the moon all the way here. It's a pretty realistic target. So maybe take some off, but I would still try and hold to that 1.29. And then maybe if I see price get to resistance again, so if we get back to the high here again and reject it strongly, then maybe you can take some more off or potentially close the trade. Because it is still pretty corrective. So I do expect us to eventually see a move back down against you. Okay, ready taking. Yeah, if you're already taking half off, then you're good. You're good to go. Again, you're never gonna get into a trade where it's just perfectly, price is gonna push in your favor. Of course, maybe that will happen the odd time and price melts or just flies. But there's always going to be some friction with a trade. And if you've already taken half off, then yeah, let the other half run and see if it can hit your target or not. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a little bit corrective. And personally, I'm actually looking to sell pound USD as well. As it does get back to 1.29, 1.295, that's what I'm looking to short it from. So I hope price gets to your target so I can sell it. But yeah, it's a nice bounce off 1.27 though. As long as that structure holds, you should be looking good. So yeah, in terms of some of the crosses, because they're looking interesting as well. They've hit some areas where we could potentially turn around. For example, Euro NZD, Euro Aussie. I mean, they've been very, very bullish, but I do think we're coming up to some areas where we could see some big turnarounds. Euro NZD especially, I think, have we tagged 2? Yes, we have, which is a huge psychological level. 2.000, that's a huge psychological level. We've spiked into that, and if we look to the left here, I'm pretty sure we've taken out COVID highs. So this is the COVID high when we had that crazy spike back in 2020. And then you can see price just taking that out. So Euro NZD, I think, is in a really, really interesting area where we could see price really turn around here. Last time we were here, what happened? Price melted, of course. There was a lot of external factors for that. COVID, for example, which gave us crazy moves. Now it's not so much that anymore, but just where we are. And any long-term holders of Euro NZD probably would have had the COVID high there as a major target, more or less. So starting to take positions off 2.000, big psychological level. That would be an area which maybe some higher, some bigger games in the market, bigger game players in the market. There we go. We're looking to enter positions, exit positions that as well. So potentially could see a bit of a reaction here. And I do think one is likely because the market is still pretty stretched as well. So I'm liking Euro NZD right now. Don't get me wrong, it's still very, very bullish. And I think shorting it right now is going to be a very difficult play because there's just so much momentum. But if we do start to see some more rejection here, price develops here, maybe a double top or some lower highs forming, that could turn it into be a really nice short to take. And there's a lot of room into the downside as well. Of course, being cautious, still counter trend play, trends very much to the upside as well. But this market has gone so far, I'm not really interested about buying it anymore. It needs to come a lot further down for me to consider buying. If it was to come back and retest the consolidation, then yeah, I probably would consider buying down here. But now where we're trading back into the COVID highs, I'm expecting us to eventually fizzle out and drop. So USD I'm interested in, but yeah, far from ready for a position. So it's just an idea at the moment. Euro Aussie, same thing, but USD is a lot better. There's a lot more confidence going this way. I mean, it's the same thing in terms of the market's extremely bullish, hitting some high prices, but you can see COVID highs, the COVID wick is all the way over there. So Euro Aussie is not necessarily anywhere near it, to be honest. But it's the same situation. The market's had a massive breakout of this range here. And you can see we are very stretched as well. So market's due a pullback for Euro Aussie too, but USD will be the better position. There's a lot more going for it. A lot more reasons why we could see a move down. Of course, they're very similar currency pairs. They do the same thing mostly, but because of the reasons I just mentioned, I'd rather trade Euro NZD. But this one's definitely due a pullback as well. Pound Aussie, which we just spoke about briefly. Again, this one's taken out the COVID highs long ago. But again, I do believe this one is due a bit of a pullback as well. We can see on the daily chart that price is having a lot of trouble trying to break through resistance here anyway. We've got 1, 2, 3 wicks there, and of course this candle as well. Today's candle, 4th wick there too. Of course, we can't really confirm that just yet. What's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. We can't confirm that just yet because the day's candle is still live. It could still potentially break through, but so far it looks like price is struggling and resistance is holding. So yeah, in my book, as long as that keeps up, potentially a bit of a top could be forming there for Pound Aussie and a push down. And if I go for Pound NZD, Pound NZD as well, interesting too. Big wick to the upside this morning. Price looks like it's holding on to resistance here. We've seen, of course, one big bullish day provide one wick. Then Monday, another wick provided. Price respects the high. Then what is this? Tuesday, a slight wick there to the upside. I'm not such a big fan of that because we did spike quite heavily to the downside as well, which means that price did come back down to retest some structure here and held it pretty well. So I'll be a bit more cautious because that is a pretty bullish candle there. I think so far the resistance is holding, but it might not hold by the end of the day. Like I said, this candle's still live. This candle's still live, so we can't really take the wick into consideration just yet because it still could close very bullish by the end of the day. But so far resistance is holding, and you can see that by that bearish candle there on the 4-hour chart. Nice bullish move, few weeks, strong candle close there as well. Yeah, hourly chart gave us a nice rejection too there. Wicks, strong close, and has given us some downside as well. But again, if you're shorting this, I'll just be a bit more cautious. We might still see some downside, but yeah, the buyers are still in control overall. So being careful. Where were we? What's up, Lighton? Maybe we should start taking analysis seriously plus good market experience. Yeah, I mean, the analysis is there for you. And by the way, guys, if you are enjoying the analysis, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I do really appreciate that, guys. And of course, hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But I do really appreciate everyone who has left a like on the stream. It does really help out. Sharif, I never see you talk about fundamentals. Do you take it into consideration? Not really, no. I'm purely price action based. I focus on the technical chart. I'm a pattern based trader, and I take positions based on patterns of the market. You know, when you've kind of been around long enough, I'm not saying fundamentals are not useful, but I'm saying that price action paints the picture which, you know, fundamentals provide, you know, based on fear, greed, whatever the scenario is. You know, price action will eventually represent that on the chart. and you can use that. And if you have a good understanding, a good read of price action, then you can kind of understand what the market is doing as well. But of course, fundamentals can be useful too. But the way I see it, if you've got a pattern based on stats, based on history, then the focus is try and trade that pattern as best as possible. So yeah, I purely focus on price action. Lighton, your spike and double top got me break even. I'm not happy at all about that, but good call, big man. Yeah, again, Lighton, I don't have control of the market. I wish I did, but I don't have control of the market. But it did come back into the high though, in respect to it again. Did you get back into a position or? Okay, a recap on USD CAD, sure. And gold 2, USD ZAR as well. Late to the game, no problem, man. We'll take a look. But yeah, USD CAD, we did see. Ooh, I'm not typing anything there. USD CAD, we did see a push back into resistance. I was debating, looking for an entry. I mean, not debating, looking for an entry. I was debating an entry yesterday, but I decided not to take the trade because risk reward wasn't great. We kind of left the level a little bit, so I want to be a little bit closer to the level anyway. So I said if we can come back into the resistance, that would be a nice place to short it, especially with the way support was falling in the 4-hour chart. But we haven't really seen much of a rejection there. There was a nice candle in the hourly chart, which was at like 2 a.m. That was a nice close, nice wick to the upside, strong close there as well. So that would have been a nice entry signal, but we pulled away from that again. So dollar CAD I'm still pretty bearish on. The key thing is that resistance is holding, which is price support once, twice, a third time over there. Of course, we eventually got the break through that level, and price is doing a good job at respecting that area. So as long as that stays intact, that level stays holding price, then I'm expecting a push to 1.405, which is of course the swing low there. As I scale to the higher time frames, daily chart is having trouble trying to break through as well. So again, taking that wick across, you can see a lot of wicks into this area. 1, 2, not really much of a wick there, but prices are essentially failing to break through. I'm not a big fan of the wicks here to the downside on the daily chart though. They look a little bit awkward. And I'm not a big fan of the weekly candle either. So we'll be a bit cautious of that. So yeah, if we do get short from here, I think a first target of this low makes a lot of sense. And then a target of that low, just to be a bit more cautious, because we do have a lot of wicks to the downside, which could get a little bit interesting. But yeah, dollar CAD, if you're looking to get involved, you want to see price push back into resistance for a third time, which might be a bit awkward. I'll probably wait to see if we can push through the high here. So something like this, push through the high, pretty much come back into the high over there. Then that's where I'm trying to find a entry. And then, like I said, a push into here's a first target, and maybe a push into there's a second target if you really want to look for a big trade. But yeah, dollar CAD had a nice reaction last night. We've pulled away. That trade's kind of left the station. But if we pull back into the highs, especially take out the wick high there as well, but still hold the resistance, of course, and that could end up being a nice position for a short. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with dollar CAD. As long as this level stays intact, I stay bearish. Market's been pretty consistent with these lower highs. Looking for more of it. Okay, so we'll go through gold. We'll take a look at gold on 15 as well, Ahmed, and then we'll take a look at USD ZAR as well. So gold. Last time I checked was looking pretty bullish. Yeah, still looking pretty bullish as well. So yeah, the way I'm looking at gold is that we've come back into a nice little range here. You can see lovely bearish candle there in the weekly chart. Price stalled here for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks before we had a big breakout, and now it looks like price has just come back to retest it. If I can get rid of my drawings, you can see pretty much if I line it with my crosshair, The top of that wick there just about met with the bottom of that wick. So price has come back into that area and we've pulled back. Of course, this weekly candle still has 2 days and 11 hours before it closes, so we can't take the candle into too much consideration because it could change. And in fact, it's most likely going to change. But what we can see from a daily chart is that price is respecting support. Even this daily candle still got 10 hours before it does close. But what I'm looking at is still very much a bullish gold. You know, price has had a lovely move. It's pulled back, pretty healthy retracement. Nothing too crazy. I know there's a lot of momentum, but we didn't really break through any major structure. And we didn't even see too much momentum anyway. That was a big candle on Friday. But then Monday, didn't really see too much there. And looks like this range is holding pretty well. So drop into the lower time frames, especially the hourly chart. It looks like we've gone from making lower lows. So low, new low. Now we put a higher low in. Now we've seen a nice push to the upside. So what I'm looking at is a bit of a correction for gold and a continuation. There's a bit of resistance above us, so watching out for that. But I do like the buys here for gold going forward. So yeah, I mean, even from a 15-minute time frame, I would wait for a bit of a correction before a buy. As we approach 30.10, 30.20, that would be my area of interest. And then yeah, of course, naturally I'll probably push back to resistance as a major target. I mean, potentially gold could be looking to work its way back to the all-time highs, 31.65 potentially. But I think especially if you're looking for an intraday position, you're not necessarily looking to try and hold it all the way back to highs, are you? Or at least not for full position anyway. So yeah, for gold, bullish here. It looks like a low is forming. We've got one push, strong rejection, another push, strong rejection, another push, didn't create a new low or even an equal low. And then we had a really strong push to the upside. So it's telling me that a bit of a low here is likely to form. Of course, taking into consideration where we're bouncing from, that big range in the weekly chart. So now I want to see a bit of a correction before we do continue, and that could be a nice buy to take, perhaps on the retest of that high there. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for gold from an intraday perspective. Looks really good for a long. Just of course need to see a healthy correction. And if I take a look at USD ZAR, so with USD ZAR, this one has of course been very bullish. How about 28.03 on the daily? Okay, let me quickly go back there since I was on gold. Where is 28.03? 28.03. It's more or less around there. Okay, so you're talking about the high here. I mean, I've got that high around 27.91, but more or less around 2800. I mean, that is definitely possible as well. That is definitely possible as well. We could definitely see a pullback into that area. I think if you look at this from a weekly perspective, the fact that we've broken out of the range since the start of 2024, a pullback to the 2800 area is not even such a big pullback, really. So I would suggest that it looks pretty reasonable, but at the moment we do have this consolidation here and this sharp move to the upside. So if price shows signs of respecting this zone, then that would be my area of interest for now. If I start to see evidence that, okay, that zone is not really giving us much of a reaction, price is looking bearish again, then yeah, I would shift my focus more towards this area as a place where maybe gold finds support to potentially go long again. So I definitely agree. That's a nice zone around 2800, really big zone there, if that's the level you're referring to. Really big zone there, and that could be a place where the market does find support from. But at the same time, we could also find support here and just continue to the upside anyway. Gold is still very bullish. It doesn't need much of an excuse to continue higher. So if we're respecting this zone pretty well, which so far we're doing, that's going to be the zone that I'm paying attention to. If momentum starts failing, start to see some wicks and maybe some bearish momentum comes back into the market, then of course I'll start taking this high into a bit more consideration. But of course, until we get there, there's not much for me to do really. So I need price to see a pretty big drop there. But yeah, sure, that's a great level. If we can get there, then of course, see how price reacts, rejection. If we can see momentum shifting from bears to the bulls, then of course there could be a nice long position there as well. But I think a good thing to take into consideration for gold is that it doesn't need much of an excuse to actually be bullish. So slight pullbacks have presented some really strong moves, and I'm talking primarily about the past kind of year and 4 months worth of price action. We've just seen bullish price action after bullish price action. So yeah, if we're going to see signs of reversal from this area, then that's what I'm going to stick with for now. If that collapses, if that fails to continue, then yeah, 2800 I will keep an eye on as well. Okay, so let's take a look at USD. Yusuf, good morning. Hope you are well. Welcome to the stream. Yep, Euro USD and Pound USD 15 we'll have a look as well. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out the stream. I do really appreciate that. And of course, subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more of the content. But yeah, in terms of USD, let me just see the overview weekly chart. Wow, it's a very bullish candle this week. No bottom wick, it just opened bullish and went to the upside. We are trading in some resistance, however. Let me just mark that with the rectangle tool. There we go. So we are coming into some resistance here. So naturally, the buys have kind of done their job. Well, not quite yet. They're probably still going to take out the high here on the left. So they've still got a bit more to do. But the market's already seen a big move. So the way I see it, if you're looking to buy the market, the train's probably left the station here. You kind of already want to be in a buy position. We've only kind of seen more intraday type pullbacks here. So it's been minimal downside. The market's just been very, very bullish. But now that we're in bearish territory now, I would be hesitant to look to buy USD. I mean, on a lower time frame point of view, it's not that bad, especially if you're going to just keep it intraday because the swaps are not great. If we could come a little bit lower, perhaps see another drop, that could be a nice buy to take and just take it back into resistance and call it a day. I think the key thing here is that momentum's still bullish, buys still look good on the intraday time frames, but because we're trading in this resistance level, you don't want to be sitting in a trade. If you get into a trade and price sees a bit of momentum but hasn't really gone too far and the daily candle's about to close, I would just get out of that position because potentially when that new candle opens up, we might see price reject this area and stop you out of a position there. So what we can take away is that momentum is very bullish. We're probably likely to take out the wick high at 19.9 anyway. So more upside looks good. But I'll keep it very intraday, so like 50-minute chart, and I wouldn't want to hang around with that trade. I want to get into a position. Hopefully momentum pushes in my favor. If I don't really see momentum push in my favor, if it starts to consolidate, and especially gets later in the day, so like out of the bulk of the US session, I'll just call it quits on that trade because number one, I don't want to take swaps. And number two, we're still in a big level of resistance. So if price does slow down, it might be a sign that sellers are looking to jump in the market and push price lower, which is something you don't want to be involved if you're buying, of course. If you're looking to sell the market, then I'd wait for a lot more rejection here. We see a nice bullish move. I want to see rejection, double tops, perhaps a break of structure before I start to consider some shorts here. It's a nice place for us to turn around, big weekly high. I think this is the all-time high, so it could be a nice place to short from. There's no indication of us turning around just yet. The trend is still up, still seeing consistent high lows. So until I start to see some evidence that we're about to turn, I would just expect price to continue being bullish. So yeah, that's kind of my take on USD for now. Okay, so let's go through Euro USD and Pound on the 15-minute. So let's drop down. Let me just delete my drawings there so we can start fresh. So 15-minute. let me just see what we're doing on the daily. So daily chart, we're back in resistance. So it's a little bit awkward because we've seen a nice push to the upside for euro, a lot of momentum, but where are we trading now? Back in resistance. Probably not the best place to be looking, trying to hold a position. Weekly chart, which is back in that wick there as well. So I'll be a bit cautious with the buys here on the 15. I mean, what I liked about Euro USD previously was that we're very consistent with the lower highs here. So as you can see, we had the initial high over there. Then the market just kept printing lower highs. And eventually we broke to the upside because support held. Now it looks like we probably will get retracement. If you're looking to buy euro, I would wait for us to push probably into this area here at least before looking to buy. As I just mentioned, this zone here is daily resistance, so we don't want to be buying into that, or at least not holding any buys anyway. If we can push that to the downside back into bullish territory, I mean, this is where all that momentum came from. This is kind of where a buy could look good. If we get a nice corrective pullback, some nice rejection, that could be a nice buy. Like I said, support here on the left held pretty well. We were seeing consistent lower highs, but price is now broken structure to the upside. And we saw a lot of momentum for it as well. So if we are going to form a higher low, this is kind of the area which I'll look for the higher low to form in. And again, we're far away from resistance at that point as well. So 1.09, 1.097, 1.096 would be my area of interest for the 15. And then, yeah, possibly a push back into resistance there if things go well. But yeah, I would say things are still bullish. You know, if I zoom out completely, the trend is still very much up here on the 15. The overall trend, momentum's still up. So I think buys are still the best bet, but just not being ignorant to the fact that we've got a big level on our horizon there, right above us. So being a bit careful. In terms of pound USD, looks like USD strength is coming back into the market a little bit. We're seeing a push down. Pound USD, I'm still pretty bearish on. I'm looking for the pullback of this move here for a pullback and then another lower high for price to keep falling. So that's what I'm looking at for pound. At the moment, we've seen some nice bullish structure. Things are still very corrective, so this does give me the impression of a pullback. It's not like price is just flown to the upside and seen aggressive momentum. So that tells me we're probably likely to keep falling at some point. Maybe now or maybe tomorrow or the day after. That's difficult to predict, but I do want to see price pull back a lot further for pound, looking at least into this area. 1.29, even 1.295 would be nice before I do start to short it. But on the 50-minute chart, I'm still liking the higher lows here. We did tap into this area quite nicely. Was that this morning? Yes, of course that was this morning. I would suggest if we were to push back down, start to see some more rejection, that could be a nice buy there for pound. And looking at these higher lows, we've got one over there, second over there, kind of a third, a fourth. Perhaps we see a fifth, and that could be a nice base for a buy. If, of course, we break through that confluence, then yeah, pound USD's bearish on the 15, and probably at that point, we're going to push back into support. So you probably want to back away at that point. But if we can start to see some wicks, rejection, nice bullish engulfing candles in that area, then that to me looks like a nice trade. And you're just looking to follow that structure back into resistance. You probably call it a day back at the highs there. So yeah, I think pound USD buys look good. Like I said, I do think the bigger move for pound is very much to the downside, but we're still very much in this counter trend phase. So I like the corrective nature of how price is moving. But buys for now still look good if you can hold that confluence, and then I'm looking for price to eventually turn around. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pound and euro on the 15. No problem, lights, and happy to help. Bacco, what's up? What do you think of the level $140 yen on weekly? Yeah, I'm actually looking for price to get there, actually. I'm pretty bearish on the yen pairs, and I mean, dollar yen, I'm very bearish on as well. It just hasn't pulled back enough for me, so that's why I haven't actually gotten to any shorts for this one. But yeah, dollar yen, I'm looking for us to get back to. Let me say that again. I'm looking for us to get back to 140. Don't know what I said there, but I'm looking for us to get back there. The way I see it, that price has got a massive level here on the left, and essentially we broke the level, retest the level, tried to continue back to highs, which is over here, failed to do that, and now we've fallen back underneath that level, 150, which is a pretty big psychological level. And now that we're successfully trading below it, we've had a bit of a retest there as well. So price pullback, retested, and of course we had the drop from last week. So the next big level I would expect price to get to would be 140. 150, 140. So I do think we'll like to keep falling and probably going to go hit 140 in the next few weeks or so. It depends on momentum and how everything does map out, but I only see dollar yen falling at the moment. I think it's very unlikely for us to put a higher low in and suddenly push the upside. I don't see that happening at all, really. Of course, anything can happen. We don't want to talk in absolutes, but I think there's a very unlikely chance that price is pulling all the way back here, breaking through such big support there at 150 just to put a higher low in for us to continue higher. I think that's a very unlikely move for the market. A more likely move is for us to keep falling back to 140. So that's the direction I want to trade in. But yeah, in terms of opportunities for dollar yen, I did suggest at the start of the week it would be very nice if we were to pull back and retest this consolidation here. Unfortunately, didn't see that quite happen. That would have been a nice place for a short, nice range, big push to the downside. If we could tap that area, that would be a nice place to position yourself short and hopefully capitalize on a nice swing back into support. But looks like we respected this area here on the left. Did we? Actually, no, we just missed it. So yeah, unfortunately, they didn't even hit that level either. This was the level I would have been looking to short from, but we didn't get that. I mean, I'm shorting euro yen at the moment, so I'm not too bothered about dollar yen. But yeah, looks like we didn't get the opportunity there. So the next best thing for dollar yen would perhaps be the break of this low and maybe some retests on the other side to get into a trade. But yeah, dollar yen, I only see one direction for this one, and that's more downside. Of course, I'm not saying it has to go down. This is why we have stop losses, why we manage our risk, because you could be wrong about any position, but yeah, dollar yen looks like a likely push to the downside. So pretty bearish on that one, but at the moment I'm trading euro yen, and I kind of group the yen pairs into one kind of category. So if I do have a trade on a yen pair, I'm not looking to jump into another yen pair until my current trade is break even, and euro yen is not break even at all. I hopped into this position yesterday on this candle close. Hopefully we can see momentum pick up. I like euro yen because it's one of the yen pairs which hasn't seen much momentum. We've seen a lot of rejection at the highs, a lot of wicks on the weekly chart. Excuse me, a lot of wicks on the weekly chart. Price has respected that trend line pretty well. So I'm expecting us to turn over, but we haven't done that yet. Pound yen seen a big move, CAD yen seen a big move. Dollar yen seen a decent move. Aussie and New Zealand seen humongous moves. Swiss yen hasn't, and euro yen hasn't as well. So those are the two yen pairs I've been focusing on. Aussie, euro yen, gave me a nice entry yesterday, so I've hopped into that position. So at the moment, I'm not really trying to get into any more yen positions until I can get this to break even. And I probably won't go break even until this wick is gone, or maybe till the end of the week. So Friday, I see how things look on Friday. If momentum's picked up well, maybe we create some structure in my favor, then I'll move my stop loss to break even for the weekend and see if I can hold into that the following week and hopefully capitalize on a move. So that'll probably be when I do manage the trade. But for now, it's Wednesday. Momentum is still a little bit flat. Hopefully we can pick up and take out the low there. If we do that before the end of the week, then I'll go to break even then, and then I'll see what dollar yen's doing, or perhaps Swiss yen. What's up? Everything about music. Hope you're well. Good morning. Good morning. Please check out Pound CAD. Of course, we can have a look. See, no problem. Okay, so GB CAD. So yeah, Pound CAD had a nice reaction on. Oh, let me do that again. Actually, I think if I draw it in reference to the weekly level, that'll be better. There we go. So yeah, we had a nice reaction on Tuesday. I was about to say Monday there. On Tuesday, but I'm not as confident with this position. I'm not necessarily expecting Pound CAD to pull back into the zone and push back to the swing high. I'm also looking at a bounce from this area for price to potentially have a bit of a pullback before maybe continuing lower. So I'll be a bit cautious of that for Pound CAD. I say that because this trend on the weekly chart has been continuing to the upside since September 2022. So it's been bullish for a very, very long time without a big correction. You probably say that drop there was the biggest correction, and we've more or less stayed within this channel here for a while. So I do think a bigger correction is due, even if it looks something like this, for price to keep pushing to the upside, but a bigger correction is on the cards. And I say that especially now because we've taken out some major highs here on the left, which we created back in 2018, and we just taken out those highs as well. So I do think a bit of a top could be forming for Pound CAD. So I'm not so keen about continuously buying this trend, because I do think it's got to a stage where we're finding resistance where we might roll over. I think it's still a nice place for a buy, don't get me wrong. Really solid resistance, and so far it's been acting as support. So if we were to get back there again, I think that would be a nice place for a potential double bottom. But as we start to approach areas like such, 1.835, I'll be cautious, probably locking in some gains and being prepared that price might roll back over against me. We've put some lower highs in previously, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be worried that a fifth one might form and price turns against me. Not necessarily worried, but just cautious of that. So locking in gains could be a great way to manage the trade along the way. But at the moment, really strong support. I'm just not expecting us to return back to the highs. I think the bigger move is probably to the downside for Pound CAD. So that's what I'm getting ready for. But at the moment, support is holding very well. So if it gets there again, another rejection, I think that's still a decent buy, especially if you can get in on the lower time frames, like an hourly entry. You can take advantage of a swing for a day or two and catch your profits there. You don't have to be looking for the big swing to the high for it to be a successful position. So, yeah, Pound CAD, a nice bounce off support, looks good. I just don't expect it to go too far. I know the trend is still up, but it's coming to some areas where I think we'll be on our last legs pretty soon. Dark Sean got in NAS, a quick NAS sell 1 minute time frame and secured a quick profit on it. Nice. What's NAS doing these days? I had a look at it on the hourly chart right at the start of the stream. Haven't looked since. Okay, a slight push to the downside. It's funny how the 1 minute time frame is so distant compared to the hourly time frame. Because the hourly time frame, I always look at it as a semi-quick time frame. But yeah, this was a slight move. But of course, on the 1 minute chart, you've got 60 candles make up an hour. So yeah, that's just how small the how small the 1 minute chart is. But yeah, nice move to the downside there. It's pretty corrective though, so it's not like price is really setting the tone. You had a strong drop there. Pretty corrective move back to the high. Looks like that resistance in general is holding. Now we've had a pretty corrective move back down. It looks like the low here is being respected. So it looks to me like we potentially might see a bit of a swing back up again. How far? That's a different question. I mean, I did talk about the hourly chart possibly coming back into this range here. I think that would be a nice place for a sell. 17,600. I think that would be a nice place for a short. Yeah, I'm not too sure if we'll get there. How's the S&P looking? I haven't actually looked at the S&P today. Wow, it looks literally the exact same as the Nas. Strong move this morning, bit of a range back over there. Nice sell yesterday. So again, probably looking for something similar, a bit of a top to form, another push back down. US 30. This one as well, strong move to the upside, looking at a bit of a correction. And again, another move back down, perhaps. I mean, it doesn't look as good as Nas, to be honest, but there's no indication of strong bullish pressure coming in. I mean, this was a slight shift of momentum, but hasn't really done anything just yet, especially on Monday. Not much momentum at all. So I'll be cautious of that for US 30. But yeah, indices still look pretty bearish to me. Might see a bit of upside in terms of a bit of a pullback, but the way I see it, we're probably likely to experience more downside there. And of course, getting to the higher time frames, really strong weekly candle there. I think, yes, we'll do some retracement, but I wouldn't be surprised if we keep falling. We do have a major high here for US 30, 35,600. Perhaps maybe form a bit of a low around there. But yeah, US 30 still looks pretty bearish to me as well. Let me have a look at the DAX and some cryptocurrencies whilst we're on the topic. So DAX, not much from the DAX. Monday's candle, wicks either side, not really making a decision. Then Tuesday's candle, wicks other side, not making a decision. Just the fact that momentum is slowing down. We've had such a big drop, 1 and 2, and then momentum is just being lost, really. So perhaps maybe a bit of a low is forming for the DAX soon, and we have a bit of a recovery. And again, I'm not mentioning or referring to a low that, okay, I'm expecting the DAX to push back to the high. It's more of just a low for a pullback for us to potentially head lower. But the key thing is that we're running out of momentum slowly. In terms of the 4-hour chart, it looks like we're putting in a lot of support around here. But I do got a feeling we'll probably push back down into the low. It's a nice range we had here on the left. Looks like price has tapped back into that. Could see price roll over. Probably would favor maybe one more push before the sell. That would be a nice place to short from. Perhaps on the 15-minute chart. Make a move back into resistance. Respect that again. That would be a nice place to short. Put a stop loss above. And at least capitalize on a push back to this kind of area. And then maybe back to the low. But yeah, the DAX still stays bearish. It's definitely losing momentum. So being a bit more cautious with the sells, not looking to shoot for the moon. Because you can see on the daily chart, candle bodies are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which means momentum is dying and perhaps a push to the upside is on the cards soon. But I would still probably have that bearish bias for the lower time frames. Let me have a quick look at the FTSE. I was about to type US 100 and I was thinking US is not the right one. I forgot it's the UK. So yeah, this one, wow. I didn't actually look at this one, I didn't even look at this one last week. I did look at it last week, but I think it was still over here. I didn't see how we closed in the week. That was a huge bearish candle. Anyway, yeah, we're definitely coming to areas where I would expect support to form, or us to find support here. I think we'll probably pull back a little bit. We might even see by the end of the month prices trading above here, to be honest. I feel like we will pull back. Going back into a big area here, consolidated, strong move to the upside. I do think we'll see some buyers start to come into the market and push price higher. Again, you can see the same thing there with the DAX, with the FTSE, strong drop to the downside. Now we're getting small body candles. We still might get another push to the downside, don't get me wrong, but momentum is dying, which means we're eventually, soon enough, going to form support to push back up pretty soon. So I wouldn't be looking for anything crazy in terms of the sales because momentum is dying. Again, similar to the DAX, we did have another push back into some support there. Looks like it respected pretty well. If we go to the 15-minute chart, yeah, in terms of a nice short, again, I'll probably wait for another push back into resistance. That might be a nice sell back into support. Maybe the wick low, but I think just keep it simple. Support's forming there. That will make for a nice target. But yeah, it looks like resistance is holding pretty well. Another spike into it, that would be a nice place for a short. Stops above the high. That might catch you a nice trade, but yeah, we are losing momentum. So maybe in the next 2-3 days, you might have a bit of a recovery for the DAX and probably for a lot of the indices as well. No problem. Everything about music, happy to help. So yeah, I do think indices will probably recover. Bitcoin. I mean, this one, I'm still looking for a little bit more downside. 74, 72K, I'm still looking for us to come and test. But again, the key thing about Bitcoin and how we're moving is price just keeps having these aggressive flushes to the downside, forms support and spikes up pretty aggressively. Not so much here, but we did recover pretty quickly after taking out that low. Now we're taking out this low again over here. Price is still looking pretty corrective. We haven't seen much momentum in this sell as well. So it's not like price has been bleeding heavily. Therefore, I do think we'll probably recover and see some upside pretty shortly with Bitcoin. And I think coming back into a big level of support like that does really add confidence to that idea. So I do think Bitcoin will go for a bit of recovery. I'm not too sure about pushback to the all-time highs just yet. I think that's a little bit too far-fetched. But what I can see is that we've been very corrective on this bearish move. And I do think we're due at least another push to the upside, at least another push back into the trend line. Perhaps if we break that, we can see what happens next in terms of momentum, whether it was a strong move or a slow move, and we can kind of gauge that and probably plot some targets from then onwards. But for now, I do think at least another push back into the trend line looks pretty likely there. And if we can push it into 74K, that would be a nice place to look for some entries. So yeah, Bitcoin pretty bullish for now. I do think a push is likely to happen. Not so much in terms of reversal, but at least just continuing with this channel. Another push to the upside looks likely. Momentum is slowing down. We had that big bearish candle a few weeks back, but haven't really seen much of a continuation. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Bitcoin. Of course, other cryptocurrencies not looking too hot, to be honest. Ethereum just bleeding to the downside. Yeah, not too surprised if I see Ethereum back around 1K, to be honest. It's not looking good at all. Gerald, what's up? Welcome to the stream. What is bias on US 30? Yeah, for now it's still pretty bearish. I do think we're slowly finding support. You can see we had all that momentum. Now price is kind of giving us some more wicks, so it looks like we're slowing down. I think everything still looks pretty bearish to me. So as I suggested in the lower time frames, I do think we're likely to keep falling and probably take out the lows there. In terms of a short, though, I don't really have a good short opportunity for US 30. Probably keep an eye on resistance there. If you can spike back into that, that could be a nice place for a short. If I measure the fib from the high to the low, Yeah, if we can come back into the 50, I think that'll be a healthy area for a short. There was a brief range here on the left as well. We paused slightly, had a nice drop. That's a nice area to short from too. So yeah, US 30, I would fancy another up move. It looks like price is respecting this area here pretty well to the left. Nice pause there, strong push to the upside. Corrective move, we've tapped into it again there. So it looks like US 30 is about to push. But if we get back into 37,970, which is the high here, if we start to see price struggling, wicks, rejection, that would be a nice place to base a trade from. You know, stops above the high, then targets back into the low. I feel like that would be a nice idea there on an intraday perspective. In terms of a swing perspective for US 30, I'm kind of just getting ready for some upside. I marked out this high here. You can probably see it better on the weekly chart. Nice down move. Then price broke it to the upside with a lot of momentum. Never came back for a retest. So perhaps maybe price will be drawn to this area. I mean, at the moment, it is respecting this level here on the left pretty well. So that's probably why we've got that first kind of reaction. But things still look pretty bearish. We haven't really seen a strong reaction off that level. Nothing that convinces me that we're about to turn around yet. Therefore, I do think another move to the downside is likely. And if we can get back to this area, see some strong rejection, perhaps a low is going to form where we're in desperate need of a pullback anyway. This was our range, which broke to the downside, and we're very, very far away from it. So the DAX, I'm getting ready for something like this to form soon, and a recovery. Maybe not that aggressive, but yeah, expecting a move to the upside soon. So that's kind of where I'm at with the DAX, and that's kind of where I'm at with most of the indices for now, which is expecting a recovery, expecting a bit of a pullback. We are in a bearish market for the indices, so if we do see some upside, I think you're kind of getting ready to short it again, to be honest. If we do push up, if we stay corrective, especially if we return back to some of these areas, kind of looking for another lower high for another short. So for me, we are still very much in the bearish climate, but we do need to see a bit of a pullback first, 100%. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the indices. In terms of the dollar, I'm still pretty bearish on this one, but again, didn't quite hit my area to pull back from yesterday. So a little bit gutted from that, but there's always another opportunity around the corner. So no need to dwell on that, just focus on the next one. The way I'm looking at the dollar right now is that we've had a big push to the downside. Last week's candle did tap into this area, which is a very important area. We consolidated here, massive move to the upside, price wicked into that and pulled back. So it's obviously respecting that area to a degree now. Of course, this week could continue bearish. We can break through that, and price could eventually take out that support level. But for now, price is still respecting that level. So being a bit cautious, selling at these prices, which is why I want price to pull away from this area, closer back into bearish territory, where I can take some shorts a little bit in a little bit more of a safer location. And I can probably hold it a little bit longer as well. If I'm taking shorts down here, I don't want to overstay my welcome, be in and out of that position sort of scenario, which is where the lower time frames come in, because you can find some nice entries, nice targets, keep it short and sweet, and get out before you get into a bit of trouble. If you're looking to hold a position for more than a couple of days, you do probably want to see a greater pullback, more so into this kind of territory, where you can probably hold a short for a couple of days from here. I marked out this area here as well. I think that's a nice place as well, but I'll keep that intraday too. Hourly, maybe 30 or even 15-minute chart. Price can pull back into this level. I think that's also a nice place for a short, perhaps back into support there again, but nothing too crazy. So the way I'm looking at the dollar right now is that I'm expecting more weakness for USD eventually, but we might see a bit of strength first for those pullbacks to happen. So what I'm looking at is potentially for Euro USD is a similar opportunity, but I need to see a bigger pullback. So I'm looking at buys for Euro back down here. I think intraday there might be some nice buys here. So we drop to the 15. I think that will be a nice place for a buy. But if you're looking to play a bit more high time frame, then you need to see a bit more of a high time frame move. And something like that would make a lot more sense. So in terms of my watch list, I don't think I actually went through it earlier. Of course, I'm currently trading Euro Yen right now, so I'm just going to sit on that position and manage that trade. And that's kind of like the yen pairs ticked for me. So I'm not really looking to get into another yen pair until I can get that to break even. Swiss yen's on the watch list too, but because I'm a Euro Yen, I'm not looking at that so much right now. In terms of the USD pairs, like I said, Euro USD buys from this area look good. I'm waiting for a push into that zone. Pound USD shorts, looking for a pullback into this area, that range. So anywhere around 1.29, 1.295 is where I'm looking for a short for pound, and then target's probably back into the prior low. I won't really have a longer term swing bias for pound USD, so I'll keep it short and sweet. And I mean, Euro NZD, it's not on the watch list yet, but it could be on pretty soon because of where we're trading. Taking out the weekly highs of COVID, and we're tapping into 2, which is a big psychological level. So yeah, I don't have much on my watch list this week. It was Swiss yen, Euro USD, dollar CAD, I forgot about that. Swiss yen, Euro USD, pound USD, dollar CAD. So those are the 5 pairs I had of my focus this week. USD is not really my focus just yet, but it's getting there. I can see prices starting to fail at the highs, and I do think a bit of a rollover is due. Still need price to develop a little bit better before I do find a trade. So it's probably for next week anyway, but something I'm keeping an eye on. But yeah, dollar CAD, I said shorts is on the watch list too, but I just don't think I'll find a good enough entry that will fit my risk reward criteria, and also just a healthy entry in terms of a solid rejection. You can see right now we had a nice move to the upside, but we're looking pretty bearish with those 4 small-bodied bearish candles, not really giving me information about a lot of momentum. So it's not a clean-cut entry for me. So I'm going to stay away. If price does push back again, essentially as long as price holds the level, I'm interested with a short hit for dollar CAD, because very powerful support. We have the consistent lower highs, 1, 2, 3. Strong break to the downside, and now price is back at resistance again. So as long as we can hold that, I'm short bias. I do think there's more downside. Scale to the weekly chart, I'm looking for dollar CAD to come back and retest this zone here. So the way I see it, there's a lot of downside to go for dollar CAD to maneuver into. So the shorts look good, but just haven't got a good entry. Now, if we get a solid close here, it just makes things difficult because my risk to reward into that first level is just very skewed. It's not even a 1-to-1. So that's why I'm kind of putting dollar CAD to one side. Okay, no problem, Gerald. Okay, take care, Yusuf. Have a great day as well. Appreciate you tuning in. But yeah, with dollar CAD, the risk reward is kind of a big factor there. There was a nice entry on the hourly chart overnight. I mean, even if I was going to trade, put an entry on the hourly, I wouldn't have been a wait to take it. But there was a really nice rejection there on this candle, which would be good because you would have a much better entry and a much better risk to reward. Stop loss in the same location above that wick. But now instead of a 1 to 0.7, I'm looking at a 1 to 3 back into the low. So that would have been a better position to take. So it was just more of a lower time frame trade anyway. But yeah, dollar CAD shorts did look good. Just maybe it's not the trade for me. So yeah, for now, I'm in Euro Yen. I'll sit in that position, see what we can do with that. Again, I'll keep an eye on managing it. I'm looking to try and hold this for the week. So I'm going to see how we go for the week. If things look good, I'll eventually go to break even if we can take out that low, or maybe by the end of the week. As long as we don't start breaking through 162, I'm looking at a big sell. And if we do go break even, then I can start looking at some other yen pairs to get into, because at least my risk is managed for my original yen position. So I wouldn't be too concerned about jumping into another yen position. But for now, that's just the only trade I'm in. I'll keep you guys updated. If I do get into any other positions, I'll let you know. But yeah, the only other position I think would be pound USD, which may give me an entry, but I feel like at least another 24 hours before that might be ready to take. But yeah, guys, we have come to the end of the stream. If you have found it useful, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. I do really appreciate everyone who has liked the stream, subscribed, hit the bell. It does really help out with the channel, keeps you involved, shows me that you like the content. So I do really appreciate that, guys. And make sure you check out the Discord channel. Link to that in the description below. You can join discussions, share ideas. I share ideas there as well. And of course, you can find more information about elevating traders if you are interested. So check it out, link in the description, and also at the top of the chat. Lots of volatility in 1 minute. Yeah, I noticed Euro yen kept jumping there. Euro yen kept like bouncing. It was going bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. I think the markets are just quite volatile now, just with everything has happened. Yeah, we pushed down pretty hard there. Ooh. Yep, we did push down pretty hard. Yeah, exciting stuff. I guess the market's still bouncy from last week. Probably we'll see that for the rest of the week at least. But yeah, guys, take care. Have a good one. I will be live again tomorrow, same time as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. I will be live again with Nick as well, so look out for that stream. But guys, have a good one. Thank you for watching. Drop a like before you leave, and I'll see you all tomorrow.